think a lot of people, when they do these videos on habits they stopped, they've usually done a video on the habits they started before they do the stop video, but I haven't done one. I'm just gonna tell you some habits that are healthy, that are recommended for people to do, but I stopped doing them, and it made my life better, and it made me healthier, and I just like the way I'm living better now. So these are some habits that are healthy, and if you do them, great. I know they're wonderful for you, but they just didn't work for me, and I stopped, and I had to change. And so I wanted to tell you what they are, because it's a good time of year to stop things that aren't working, just as it's a good time of year to start things that do work. So I have about 8 in here, I think, and the very last one, I'll talk to you about where I stand on alcohol. So if that's something that has been on your mind recently, stay tuned for that one at the very end. I feel like it's gonna be a little long-winded, and let's get started. I stopped eating mini meals throughout the day. Remember, that has been huge advice for so many years. I imagine there's gotta be some people out there still saying to eat small meals throughout the day, but that has never worked for me. I've just ended up overeating or snacking all the time. And one thing I realized in the last year is that I will snack whenever I'm unsure of how to figure out something with work or my job, or if I'm frustrated, or if I have some anxiety about something, I would be like, oh, time for a snack. And so I had to put a stop to that. I had to really start to think, okay, wait, am I actually hungry, or am I just concerned about this one issue over here? So mini meals and me, we don't work. That just does not work for me. It has taken a really long time, but it has worked so much better for me to try to identify when I actually feel hungry and then eat when I feel hungry. If that's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and it's not lunch or dinner, I go and eat something that I know is gonna be filling and something good that I can eat. If I'm not hungry for breakfast, I don't eat breakfast. One thing I quit that I just feel so much less pressure on myself is I quit trying to have a morning routine. Now, I've been through lots of phases where I've tried different morning routines, and if you've never tried a morning routine, I highly suggest trying one. There's a million of them out there. There's a million YouTube videos, TikToks, whatever. This is my morning routine. And you can try one of those. And they're all very personal. You really have to find the one that works for you. But the thing that I have learned over trying many, many morning routines and many, many morning rituals is that certain mornings I feel like doing some things, and certain mornings I feel like doing others. But what I have learned is that I've been able to identify that if I wake up feeling a little bit stressed or overwhelmed, like from the get-go, I know that I need to spend some time in just silence. And I maybe need to meditate a little bit. I just need to like sit in silence and take some deep breaths for a few minutes. And there's other mornings where I don't feel like that. I feel amazing, and I feel like I just want to get started with my work. And so I do that. There's a lot of mornings where I feel like I want to take my kids out and just watch the sunrise and drink my coffee outside. So there's a lot of things that I will do in the morning, but I have let go of trying to have a specific routine that I force myself to do every day. A very healthy habit it is very healthy, but I stopped. I stopped running so much. I used to be a runner. Running has been my main form of exercise since I was in college. That is just, if I wanted to exercise, I would go for a run. If I was trying to get in shape, I would go for more runs. And I've always loved running. However, since I discovered a couple years ago that through a DEXA scan that I had osteopenia, which is basically right before you get osteoporosis. And I have an osteoporosis doctor that I went to, and he said, this yoga and running, it's wonderful, but you need to do some heavy weights. I made a huge shift and prioritized lifting heavy. If I only have time to work out 2 days out of the week, it's gonna be a weightlifting session. I've learned so much since then that running is not bad for you or anything like that, and I'm definitely not saying that, and I still run for pure enjoyment. If it's a beautiful day outside, or I need to work off some stress, or I want to listen to my music or a podcast or something, I love a good run. Now, running has gotten me through so many hard times in my life, so many stressful times, so much heartbreak, so many just, even when I was pregnant, that was the only time I felt like good was when I went for a run. Just so many times in my life that running has just been my lifesaver. So I love running, but in terms of being healthy and my physical health, I have prioritized weightlifting, and I have a DEXA scan coming up. It's 2 years later since my last one, and I've been lifting weights and everything, and hopefully things have improved. Now, if you love running too, or any other kind of exercise, definitely not saying to stop. However, if we as women, the older we get, the harder it is to build muscle and increase our bone density. And so everything out there says that we need to be lifting heavy weight. We need to be doing the push-ups or just doing something where we're putting some strain on our muscles. This is something I don't do, and at times in my life, I've tried to do it, and then I'm like, what are you doing, Anna? But you know when you're making a recipe, and it's like cookies or something, or a pie, and you're like, ooh, you know what? I think I'll substitute the sugar for a Splenda, and I'm gonna use dates instead of chocolate chips. Hey, if you do that, I love that for you. That's so good. It was so wonderful. You know what? I would do these things and make these healthy substitutes, and I would just be like, this doesn't taste good. Like, if I want a cookie, I want a cookie. I'm taking all the pure joy out of the thing that I'm making. For me, it makes no sense. Why am I gonna go through making this like chocolate chip cookie or a pie or something and then take all that stuff out? I'd rather just not make it. So for me, I'm a little bit all or nothing, but if I'm gonna make the pie, I'm gonna make the pie. I'm gonna follow the recipe and I'm gonna include all the butter. And if I don't wanna eat all that stuff, then I just don't make that pie or I don't eat it. I think a lot of people will go to the store and they'll buy all these like processed foods that don't have certain ingredients in them, like sugar-free somethings, and instead it has all these other weird stuff in it. I just don't think that is the healthy alternative, especially if you're buying it. If you're buying something from the store and they took out all the sugar and they put something else weird in it instead, it's all processed, and I don't really think you're doing a much healthier option there. Instead, if I have a sweet tooth, I stick to my favorite fruits or a kombucha. And if I really have a hankering for cookies or baked goods, I'll make a really tasty one or eat one I know will be worth it. Doing it this way, I don't feel like I'm depriving myself, but I'm being more intentional about when I eat the high-calorie, sugary items. I hope that makes sense, but I just don't believe in taking all the wonderfulness out of every recipe and altering it to where it doesn't even taste like what it's supposed to taste like because you're trying to not eat the thing. How many times in your life have you heard that it's very important to achieve a work-life balance? I just don't believe in that. Work-life balance, I think, is a myth. In my life, what I've realized is there's different times in my life that different things are the priority. When I was really trying to get my YouTube channel to get off the ground and other parts of my life were just not working out, I made YouTube a priority. I literally had a newborn baby and I would get up in the middle of the night to feed him, put him back to sleep, and then go edit my YouTube videos in the middle of the night. I made my priorities my family, myself, and my YouTube channel. I put most everything else on hold. Now today I have a thriving YouTube channel, which I am incredibly grateful for, and I'm able to prioritize my social life a little bit more and to, do things with my family and my friends. And of course I don't have a newborn baby anymore, but I think that there's different times in your life where you have to really prioritize your career if you want your career to move forward. And that might be saying no to a lot of these social engagements, or there might be a time where your family really, really needs you and you might have to pull back on your career. But I do think it's very difficult to really have everything be perfectly balanced all the time. And I don't think we should feel guilty for prioritizing different things in our life. I might edit this part out, but I know that I've watched a lot of medical experts talk about hormones in women and how when women are kind of in the menopause, perimenopause phase, normally around like their 50s, they really start to see things differently, and a lot of it is just different fluctuating hormones. And that is a really good time to really focus on yourself, to really see, okay, what do I need? Like, what do I need to feel really good and to feel like myself? And what do I need to get rid of that's just not serving me? I don't want anyone to go and like burn their house down or anything because of what I've said in this video. But if there's a time in your life where you are just feeling overrun and that everybody's pulling from you and there's just nothing left for you and you're just like, ugh, that may be a good time to eliminate a lot of things and say no to a lot of things and start prioritizing your health and your well-being, or what you've really wanted to do your whole life. Some side hustle that you've always really wanted to do, maybe this is the time that you need to say no to all these other things and focus on that. Have you ever been around somebody and you've said something like, this day is just terrible and I just really feeling really rotten. And the person says, ooh, you should look at the sun is shining and it's a beautiful day. You should be happy and positive, and you just want to punch the person in the face. Listen, the person's not wrong. There are many things around us every single day we can be super grateful for. However, I do believe that there is a certain thing called toxic positivity, and it's okay to not be positive all the time. There are certain times when you do feel like crap and things did not go right that day and someone was really mean to you and you feel really bad about something, and we all have these feelings because we're human, and it's okay to have these feelings. And sometimes you're angry, sometimes you're sad. I found that if I'm feeling sad or if I'm feeling angry or I'm feeling any kind of negative emotion, I just sit there and feel the feelings, and I try not to mask it with anything like shopping or eating or social media or distraction. I just try to sit with those feelings, and I don't always succeed in that. Sometimes I do, I'm like, let me just go distract myself with something, because I'm also human, but I try to just, live in that feeling for a little bit. And if you'll notice that if you ever had a really good cry where you're just crying your eyes out about something and you're just really upset, eventually you just kind of get tired of crying. You're just kind of just like, okay, well, I did that, and you just feel so much better. So it's the same way with all of our feelings. I don't think I think it's impossible to always be super positive and everything. And it's okay if sometimes you feel sad and angry. You don't want to stay there. You don't want to live there, but it's healthy to just feel your feelings. There have been so many reports that it's very healthy to have a glass of wine in the evening. A glass of red wine, it has, I forget what it's called, something in it that's supposed to help you with anti-aging, all that stuff. But honestly, there's been many, many studies that have shown that no amount of alcohol, zero, no amount of alcohol is actually healthy. Now, aside from it being healthy or not healthy, I just know with myself that if I have 2 glasses of wine, I have a very high chance of feeling like total crap the next day. And not total crap, but I just wake up not feeling 100%. I feel like 70%. And I get a little bit like, well, shoot, just those 2 glasses of wine made me feel like this. So right now in my life, I've gotten to where I will go weeks, even months without having any alcohol. And I'm so much more intentional. It used to be that, it's a pretty day and everyone's having, some wine or having a seltzer or whatever. And I'd be like, sure, why not? I'll have one too. I just don't do that anymore. I am so specific about it. I went on a vacation where they had these really fancy wines, and I wanted to try them and I wanted to drink them with dinner. And so that was an occasion where I wanted to drink wine. And I mentioned in this video, I found this prebiotic. You'll have to look up, you can look it up and read about it, but you drink it before you start drinking, and it helps you not feel like that the next day. So those actually work pretty well. So if I am gonna drink, I drink those before I drink, but I'm just so much more intentional about when I drink. I don't do the whole come home from work and have a glass of wine anymore. I'm just super specific about it and very intentional about when I'm going to have drinks and if it's gonna be worth it and if I want to do it. And so lots of times the answer is just no. And I will tell you, if you're on this journey of you kind of are sober curious and you don't want to drink as much as you have in the past, or you're just used to every time you go out, you always drink and you're kind of worried about it, how is that going to work? Let me just tell you, nobody cares. People think that if they go out amongst all these people that they always drink with and then they don't drink, that it's going to be this huge big deal. And it really isn't, because you have to remember, they're all out enjoying themselves. I went to a party a few weeks ago, and I wasn't necessarily not going to drink, but I just felt like I'll decide later if I really want a glass of wine or not. And I went there and I got offered a glass of wine so many times, and even the hostess was like, are you sure? I have white wine, I have other things, I have other alcohol if you like that. And I said, oh, you know what, I'm just gonna get some a little bit later. I think right now I'm just gonna drink water, but I'll have some in a little bit. And I ended up just not ever feeling like I wanted to drink at all, and every single person in that party was drinking a lot, and I had some really fun conversations. It is actually really fun to be the sober person in a party of people really drinking a lot sometimes. And I was the only person in that whole entire party that was not drinking drinking a bunch of wine and beer and whatever. And nobody cared. Everyone was just enjoying themselves. I was over there drinking water. People are in their own world. They're thinking about themselves and how much fun they're having and what they're doing. They're not really focused on you and honed in on you and how much you're drinking and what you're drinking and if you are or not. So if you are sober curious, it's actually not as hard as it seems like it would be. And once you get over that hump of going to an event where you would normally drink and you just don't, you come home and you're like, that wasn't as hard as I thought. And it gets easier. And then when you wake up the next morning and you feel like $1,000,000 and you don't have that like a little bit tiredness feeling, it's kind of amazing. Let me know your thoughts on this. I feel like people are very all over the board. This is a very personal topic. People have very strong opinions and it is very personal, and I know people love to share their opinions on it, but just remember, you're coming from your perspective and your experience. And with alcohol, it affects people differently. And so someone might say, oh, you know, a glass of wine is totally fine and very healthy. Maybe it is very fine and very healthy for you, but there's somebody out there that it's just not healthy for. For me, it does not work for me to have a glass of wine every evening. And so I'm not gonna do that. And you just gotta be careful when you're recommending for people to drink alcohol in the evening, because for a lot of people, it's not a good idea. Shailene, what's her last name? Anyway, she did a video about how she stopped drinking for 30 days. I think it was 30 days, or maybe it was 3 months or something. And she saw all these benefits and just was really amazed at like how much she benefited from not drinking. I will try to find that video and link it below because I thought it was really interesting, especially if you're sober curious. I think it's a really good video to watch. So those were some healthy habits that I have stopped. Now, if you want to know about some healthy habits I've started that have really helped my life, I can do a video about that. Let me know in the comments. I do feel like there's a lot of videos about that out there, and I didn't want to just be part of the noise and more like, you should do this and you should do this, and more, you know, telling people what they should be doing. And it's just, I feel like it can be overwhelmed because I don't think that everything works for everyone. You have to really find what works for you. Anyway, let me know what you think. Please comment below what you've been doing or not doing that's really healthy recently, that's really helped you in your life. And I will see you next time.